Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer, along with the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young, and web marketing guru, Dennis McCarthy. Well, folks, welcome to another edition of the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. Dennis is out of town this week. Filling in for him is Ray Cameron. I'm with Thomas Young. All of us are here. Today, we're going to be talking about the economy. We know that the economy's weak, but for some reason, the web keeps getting stronger. A lot of the companies are adapting to the economy in ways that are actually changing how business is done these days in the long term, and pretty much all aspects in the real estate industry, the financial industry, construction industry, all over. Tom, what do you think is driving the growth in web marketing, especially here in the downturn with the economy?
Well, ROI is driving growth. And the reason that ROI is so important now, obviously, is because the economy is putting a lot of pressure on companies to do better. And to do better, they've got to measure their results in their marketing areas. When your company's doing well and you're prospering, it's okay to not have a clear handle on all your marketing channels. But now, when things are tight, not only do you have to have good ROI, you have to have marketing channels that produce for you, and that's what the web has done. Now, it's interesting because I've been working in web marketing for over 10 years, and I've just never seen the explosion of interest in not just the web as a marketing channel, but the web as a principal marketing channel for people. And also the idea of, hey, the days of throwing money at different marketing things, those days are over. People want to see return, and the web can do that. But we've seen it directly with our clients, and in fact, a few weeks ago, Glenn and I did a podcast on the economy slowing down. Well, now what's happened is we're in a full recession. The economy is definitely slowing down, and we're seeing people that are cutting back in areas of their company. Several of our clients have lost key staff members. Some of the key people that we work with are no longer there, but they're keeping us on. And in fact, not only are they keeping us on, they're keeping us more involved. And it's not so much that it's us as a team. It's what we're doing for them on the web. So there's they'll say we've let go of people in our marketing department, but we need you guys around. We need you more involved because the web is such an important part of our business. Now,
do you think that a lot of the contributions or the reasons for that could be the fact that it's very cost effective to be on the web?
Cost effectiveness, and realizing that this one area they can't cut. I mean, it's just one area that on marketing that they can't cut. They can get rid of newspaper advertising, or scale back their sales team or whatever, but they cannot stop marketing on the web.
There's another interesting part about it too. Is not only that, a lot of people are using the web in addition to their normal marketing and advancing the marketing channels, using it for brand management. Because everybody goes on the web to find information. If you're interested in doing business with a company and you've never done business with them before, what are you going to do? You're going to go online and check it out. You're going to go out and try to find information on them. And that's one of the things that I'm finding that people are doing. That's what I do anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're seeing too is that after they do have layoffs in the company, then we're seeing that inexperienced folks are then being asked to manage the website and manage the web marketing. And these folks are, they might be a CEO level or a CFO level, high-level people in the organization that have been asked to do it, and they have no idea. And so they're very much leaning on us to help them out. And we've also seen, and we're going to see more of this, but there's going to be a big surge of small business startups and more temporary workers and also more freelancers. That's also going to drive more people to the web, not only to promote their own services, but to find connections and that sort of thing.
Would you also see a boost in websites like Elance and some of the contractor sites?
Already seen it. Those websites are growing at fantastic rates. And not just from people being laid off looking for work, but also employers realizing that, hey, we don't need to hire a full-time person to do this. Let's go find a freelancer who can help us out with this project. And then, once the project's done, we can, move on to someone else. So absolutely, we're seeing growth in those areas.
Pay the contract labor, not have to worry about the taxes.
Yeah.
What have you been seeing, Ray?
Well, you mentioned newspaper before, and we know there's ways to measure the effectiveness of print advertising, but as a group. But when we're looking at web marketing, we can actually not just tell whether the web marketing is effective, but we can narrow it down to keywords, and we can tell which words people are using and how those particular words are paying off. So when we're showing our clients the effectiveness of not just the web itself, but the specific aspects of it, it's hard to cut that out because it's so specific, and what they're getting from that is so obvious. Whereas maybe some of their other marketing is the statistics on it are more broad.
It's interesting, having worked in this field for so long and having worked in marketing for about 20 years, it's just people have been slow to catch on to the web. I had a discussion recently with somebody who I hadn't talked to in a long time, and they said, Tom, the stuff that you were pushing back in 2000, 2001, it's finally taking off, and it's so true. and part of it has been demographic changes. Also, within a recession, when there's lower consumer spending, more people then go to the web for a variety of reasons, not just for entertainment, for communication, for networking, but also just to do their shopping and that sort of thing. So the whole idea of web traffic to a website and people that are browsing on the web, that also increases in a recession. Because for the most part, going to the internet is free. I mean, you pay your monthly you pay your monthly charges to get online, but it doesn't cost anything to pick up your computer, turn it on, and go surf the web.
Exactly. Or you go to Starbucks or someplace that's got Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's a lot of people that are impacted by the recession. How specifically can web marketing help them?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been giving this a lot of thought lately because there's several marketplaces that really are being impacted by the recession. And I just got back from a family member's graduation down in Florida, and I was thinking, how are all these graduates, hundreds and hundreds at each university or more, what are they going to do to find a job? So graduates looking for work are definitely going to be impacted in the web. And then experienced job seekers, freelancers, temporary workers, people starting or wrapping up a business, small and medium-sized businesses and large corporations, all these different target markets are certainly going to go to the web and try to make a go at it.
Well, how can graduates and job seekers, how can they utilize web marketing to be able to get a job?
It's interesting because when I was talking with my niece in Florida, I was trying to explain to her, go get a domain name with your name and stand out from your competition by using the internet to let people know what you can offer and what you can do. I think that for graduates and job seekers, you've got to think differently about how you look for work. The resume, cover letter approach, online application approach is just done. Don't even worry about that. Focus on networking online, developing customized web pages, getting your content and your philosophy out in front of employers, and developing relationships with people in the companies you want to work with.
I was so happy you said that because so often somebody says online job seeking. What comes to mind? Monster. You think Craigslist for the jobs on Craigslist. You think Career Builder. You think all of that. And you are so dead on as far as having your domain and building your value there. And then utilizing sites like LinkedIn or social networking sites that allow you to connect with business people and say, hey, you want to know what I'm about? Go to my website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and employers are looking at those during interviews. I was working with a company that just did interviews recently, and after screening resumes, we were searching the internet for people. We found people on LinkedIn. We found some of their history through LinkedIn and Facebook. And so those are important places to be. And in this day and age, if you're not on those, I think employers are going to wonder what's wrong. Why aren't you?
Well, and think of it as a competitive situation. You're not on LinkedIn. You got a great resume, but somebody is on LinkedIn and has a great resume and has all the referrals and has a network. Who's going to get the attention? So really, I think the whole concept of looking for a job, or whether you're a graduate or experienced, flip it on its head and think about the idea of you're developing relationships and use the internet to do that.
It's funny because there's so many different ways to deal with that, and especially in the job market, especially job seekers. One thing that a lot of kids have, and I say that loosely here, there's a lot of people that are graduating from college, and I've even seen some older folks that have pictures or have things on their profiles in MySpace and Facebook that are inappropriate. Or should I say, or it might be, hey, I had a great time in college, but you really don't want to relive all of those frat parties and sorority parties online for your prospective employer to see.
Oh, I would in fact take that one step further, and I would say, if you're looking for a job and you have an idea of the industry you want to work in, or even the company you want to work for, target it for that, so that your Facebook page or your whatever LinkedIn page is targeted toward getting a job at Disney or getting a job with General Electric or wherever you want to go.
And then the other thing is, make sure you Google your name.
Yeah.
Because you need to know exactly what's out there. If something's out there, let's face it, there are people out there with your name, that have your name, that live in another part of the country. You need to know what's out there and what's online, because if you're trying to get a job somewhere, you're going to Microsoft, you're going to IBM, let's just throw out there, you're trying to get a job there, and they look up your name. Oh, Glenn Thayer. Oh, well, wait. You're the big gun collector that's in Montana. No, that's not me.
You might have to clarify. If your name is John Smith, you might have to be johnsmithresumes.com or johnsmithibm.com or something. So we can tie into what you're trying to do.
Well, how can established businesses use the web to push their marketing message even more?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we have a whole series of podcasts and websites on how you guys can improve your website. If you're a startup or if you're an established business, go look at 4stepprocess.com, look at intuitivewebsites.com. There's a whole strategic outline there for how to be successful online. And think that the internet really will probably be your main marketing channel, especially if you're a startup.
It's funny you say that too, because there's the fact you go to intuitivewebsites.com, you can basically get a 4-year education on web marketing for absolutely free.
Oh, yeah. And graduates are not getting this. I mean, once again, talking about my niece, she has a degree in art, and she had to take a web design class. I'm not sure. She just called it the web class. And basically the class was about Dreamweaver. And I'm thinking to myself, that is such a small part of what the web is all about. And it's a dying part. Because Dreamweaver is still a popular tool, but it's not the future for the web.
Well, it's great if you're designing a static page that's nothing's really happening with it. But if you're if you're looking at having content that's dynamic and everything, you got to step up to Drupal, Joomla, the new content CMS systems.
Now, if you're established business, one of the key issues is who you're going to staff during the layoff process to handle web marketing. How do you know when to outsource? How do you know when to keep things internally? Look, what are your competitors doing? How are they handling the web? And then also definitely established businesses need to be thinking about ROI. And in fact, our next podcast is going to be specifically on return on investment for the web. But one thing I want you to think about, if you're an established business, is someone in your company needs to be the point person for web marketing. And you're probably going to have to begin by outsourcing and get some help get some training into your company so you can develop people to run and market your website.
That's the challenge most businesses have, is they want to have their intern run the web marketing for them. And the bottom line is are you going to have an intern direct all of your advertising and all of your marketing for your company?
Yeah, absolutely. Your biggest marketing channel is going to be run by an intern. I think that's another change that we're seeing now in this economy, is people take the web seriously.
And that's where looking at outsourcing is going to be where people are going to want to go for their web marketing.
I think so. I mean, I think you've got to find people in your area that are experienced in things like Google pay-per-click and Google Analytics and like Joomla and different CMS systems. And those folks have to bring them in to help train your staff for the long term.
So we have action items, as all of our listeners know, at the end of each podcast. Tom and Ray, what action items are key for the listener for this podcast?
Ray, do you want to add anything before I jump into my list here?
No, not right now. I think we've covered this well.
Okay, good. Well, I just want to touch on those marketplaces that might be listening to this podcast. If you're doing a job search, take some time and develop an internet strategy for your job search, which might include creating your own website, definitely creating a Facebook, LinkedIn page, and take all the party stuff and college stuff out, pictures of you drinking and stuff take that out. Focus on your career and focus on your philosophy and the kind of value you bring if you're to be hired. If you're a startup or an established business, you've got to get a handle on when to outsource, when to do work internally. And somebody at your organization has to not only get this work done, but learn the fundamentals of web marketing. It's going to be absolutely key. The days of no one in the business knowing but somebody in IT or somebody's nephew or an intern, those days are gone. And then measure your return and monitor it on a regular basis. Don't take your website for granted. You just can't afford to do that anymore. It's more important now than ever to have a very solid internet marketing strategy.
And in the past, people were not paying attention to their web. They had a web presence. That's what they said. Well, we have a web presence, and they were doing all of their marketing, seeing what our ROI is on our marketing through print, through TV, through radio, through traditional channels, but they didn't do anything with the web.
I wish I had $1 for every time someone said to me, "Oh yeah, we have a website. It's not very good, but we have something up there." And those days are done.
Yeah, if it's not dialed in, you're dead.
That's right.
Or having a website and even feeling good about it, but not having a clue what's going on with it. So not having analytics set up and not being able to say, here's our website and we know exactly what it's doing, where it's performing well and where it's not.
Well, folks, we're going to be discussing ROI in the next podcast. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ray. And we'll see you in the next podcast.
Sounds good.
This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. For more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitiveblog.com.